So here we go. Sending live. And good evening, everyone. We are live. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because there are times you want to not turn on your camera, like tonight. So if you're over on YouTube and you're watching, you're wondering, where's the camera? Camera's right here in front of me. It is turned off because right now I am wearing sunglasses and a bathrobe, and really nobody needs to see that. And part of this is also to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I am your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi, good to be with you. Yeah, I'll explain about that for all you guys over there on YouTube momentarily, don't worry. It's not nearly as bad as you might think. Being able to join us, at least temporarily, from the Midwest of the U.S., Bridget Fitch. I am remembering both names. I'm doing good. I want a gold star.
You get one. Hi, y'all.
And on the right coast of North America, because bad luck, Unrenowned Tech has made it. Good morning.
Hey there. And now I've got ZZ Top's cheap sunglasses going through my head.
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good song, though.
Yeah.
Was that an eh?
I said, yeah. I've
okay.
been to see.
I was going to
went,
say, we're about to have a conversation offline.
I went to see ZZ Top when I was in high school with another friend, and we wore huge, oversized sunglasses that they had like back in the 80s. You know,
Oh, it must have been fantastic.
it was fun.
Yeah. So it's good to be back with you guys. And of course, as always, if you'd like to be joining us as we're recording, we do this weekly, usually, on YouTube. So if you want to join us, you can go ahead and do that. And you can join the folks over here on the live chat. Stephanie has made it. Good morning. Io is there. Hi. No, not turning on the camera. The reason for it this time is just that middle of this week, I pulled a 12-hour shift. It was unexpected. The guy that would normally be the closer for where I work and the section that I work in, he had to take off for reasons. And they asked, is anybody, either of you two guys, willing to, stick it out? And I'm like, you know what? I'll give you guys a full 12 hours. So I opened the place at 8:30. I left just short of 8:30. And, the job itself is actually rather physical. And considering that the ankle is still nowhere near 100%, hobbling around, not real great. So the brain's still a little not real great. I spent a good portion of today either napping or like half asleep, laying down in bed, and seriously draining the power on my phone. It's amazing how warm that thing gets when you run it from 85% power down to 10. So it is what it is. I am okay for the most part. I am staying away from drugging myself up so that body gets an opportunity to chill out a little bit. So there we go. The only thing I've been popping, if you can even call it that, medication-wise, is Flintstones chewables, because I've got some, and I figure, you know what, that's probably a really good idea. I mean, how can you go wrong? Unless you try to Can you actually Wait a sec, can you actually properly overdose on, like, children's multivites like that?
If you ate enough of them, yeah.
Yes. Yes, you can. If you want to see what you can overdose on and have really bad experiences with, I highly recommend the YouTube channel called Chubbyemu. Spelled one word, no spaces, no symbols. He's a doctor. He reviews a whole lot of cases, anonymizes them correctly, and he makes it very. He breaks everything down in such a way that even if you don't have a fifth grade education, you can follow along. And I think he really should be like putting together like health courses for the human body for like the whole entire United States. He's a very good at explaining things.
Fair enough. I'll have to think about that. All right. And considering that we've got a little bit of a time constraint, how about I just get everything rolling and we'll just kind of roll from there. So with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Support. So this kind of wraps up into what I was just talking about, that, you know, these days, of course, as we understand, there's been a very large shift in the way that everybody thinks about what it is to be employed, to go out there, have a job, and the job is the job. The job is not you. And, the old line from The Godfather. Tell Michael, it wasn't personal. It was just business. Right before they killed Abe Vigoda's character, which, by the way, he still lived for a very long time afterwards. I don't know if anybody knew about that. Go back in the history of the internet, you'll find out about that one. These days, we don't really think about business, the working relationship, the same way that we used to. It used to be that, you were at work, you had a smaller business, and you could actually get away with saying, we're family here. Well, when it's a family-owned and family-operated business, independent, yeah, you can get away with saying that because, you got maybe a dozen people that work there. Yeah, you can get away with that. My first job was working at a local pharmacy that was owned by a couple of guys. They owned it. They bought it from a couple of guys. And they kept it until relatively recently when, unfortunately, crime just pushed them out. I mean, let's face it, you want to try to hit somewhere for money, you're not going to hit a pharmacy, but you want drugs, you hit a pharmacy. And for me, that was my first experience. It was great. And when it came to feeling like it was family, oh, it absolutely was. When there was a holiday, their family would come in. Whoever it was that had the shift for the day, wife came in, maybe the kids popped in also, and we had food. We had a day of it, and it was usually slow. Everybody took care of each other. Well, this was an opportunity where, yes, the company that I work for is fairly large, international, and yeah, I could have just as easily have said, "No, man, I get done with my shift, I'm done," because I voluntarily chose to work 8:30 a.m. reminding you all local times 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Yeah, it's a 9-hour shift, and some people are just like, well, 8 hours isn't 8 hours enough? Well, I mean, yeah, but I could use the extra money. It does get me some overtime, which helps me get a little bit more money, and it's just an extra hour. It's not that much of an onus. Okay. But when it was the idea of, do I help out the company? You know what? Nah, not exactly. I don't exactly have a tie to the company. But for my little department in it, where we're working, for one of the guys who is also part of my group there, yeah, I'll help out. I'll go the extra mile. I will put in this time. I will go ahead and I will do. So I did. And my boss, my direct boss, comes in, the next day, because, his normal shift, and checked in, making sure that, he's okay, I'm okay, everything working out, cool, everything's looking good. He gets the opportunity, he checks over the cameras, see how things were going for me, look it over, and everything looked good. I did everything by the numbers. I did everything right, even though I've never closed before. Made sure everything was right. Everything was safe. Everything was done. All the paperwork was ready. And for the first time in a very long time, I come in the next morning and everything is just the way that it's supposed to be. I spend 5 minutes double checking to make sure that nothing has changed over in the very early morning, and I had everything ready for myself. Now, what's going on with this guy that had to leave early? Don't know. And you know what? Right now, I don't care. Except for, are you okay? That's going to be the only question that matters for me. Because whatever it is, I don't need to know. I don't want to know. Are you okay? Sometimes that's all the support you need to give. So let's move it along and keep rocking because, like I said, timing. Which means we move on for the horrible scopes. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. If you don't, you can just pick one. Get a D12 with the little squigglies on it. You want one of those? Go over to the nice folks over there at Heart of the Game Fredonia. Maybe they'll be able to sell you. They'll sell you one. They just can't ship it. Just drop it in and go pick it up. Unless the mimic's not in the window. If the mimic's in the window, you're safe. If not, maybe not so much. So I had somebody who made a suggestion for a theme for this week, which is Alien Day. And before you get your hair into a frazzle, just know that the specific date, April 26th, has already passed. It's the date from the Alien movie franchise. The designation LV-426, one of the 3 moons orbiting the gas giant Calpamos in the Zeta 2 Reticuli system, 39 light years away from Earth, just a hop, skip, and a jump. And since I never run from a challenge on these things, let's see what aliens you'll all be paired up with this week. And I'm using each of your star sign letters to help pick. So there's no D20 on this one to get in the way. Aries, one shall stand, one shall fall. Aries, your alien race is the Autobots. From the Transformers universe, they're a machine race that can transform between a humanoid form and that of a certain machine. And come on, do I really need to explain who the Autobots are? It's been 40 freaking years. So this week, can we all still agree that Starscream is just a little bitch? Thank you.
Morris. Well, it's likely safe to say you're screwed. Coming from the SCP Foundation, you're matched up with the Taranya from Moira. They're 6 sexed humanoid aliens who came to Earth after their homeworld had some apocalyptic disasters. On the downside, they're an SCP-designated life form. But on the upside, with 6 sexes, there's likely going to be at least one that'll catch your eye for a night in. So this week, you can take your chances with the Tyranu. After all, how bad could it possibly be?
Depends who demands who to be bottom. Gemini, hope you like sand because you're going to see a lot of it. Hailing from the Stargate SG-1 universe, your aliens are the Goa'uld. They are not exactly human, but they are parasites to them. They burrow into a host's neck and possess them, posing as gods to other races around the galaxy. So this week, if you're not sure who the Goa'uld is in your collection of friends, just turn off the lights and see whose eyes glow. Sadly, it'll be too late to do anything about it, but hey, at least you'll know, right?
I'm going with that. Cancer Moonchild, finally, we get to a Star Trek race, but your race isn't exactly known for being conversant while being able to break up married couples. Hailing from the SETI Alpha 5, you get the SETI Eel. Now, we know some of you won't like this choice. Understand that. But it's a native species and will kiss, lick, and hug you in places you never knew you could be. So this week, just do what the nice megalomaniacal voice on your wrist tells you to do.
That's harsh, dude.
Leo, Not gonna lie, Leo. We're only throwing the species your way because you drew the short straw. Your pairing is with the large nostril people from the planet Boudinin in the Invader Zim universe. No one knows what they look like. No one knows how intelligent they are. All we know is that they were mentioned once and never talked about again. So this week, if you have to wear perfume, don't wear something like Chanel number 5. Ask to buy whatever's on tap and bring your own growler.
Oh, this one's nasty.
I'm sorry, that's a really deep cut for like old time radio joke, so tough.
The Chanel number 5?
No, buying whatever's on tap.
Oh, yes. Virgo, there's something so satisfying about your alien race, Virgo. They're smaller than you are, incredibly efficient, and love the nightlife. From the Doctor Who universe, you're getting paired with the Vashta Narada. Technically, yes, they can communicate with you, but only through a third party. Usually unwillingly. But they're great at cleaning off their plate after a meal. So this week, do you like reading in libraries? So do they. You could make a date out of it, a book and a meal all in one night. You are mean.
No idea what you're talking about. Libra,
Uh-huh.
you don't want to be matched up with your race. You want to use them as target practice. No, scratch that. You want to have already done a lot of target practice so you can off these buggers as quickly as you can squeeze off the trigger. You're paired off with the Locust from the Gears of War universe. All they want to do is destroy anything they can on any planet they land on. In this case, all of humanity, which means you too. So this week, invest in weapons. Lots of ranged, high explosive, maximally accurate weapons.
Scorpio, how do you feel about being matched up with a race who are generally peaceful farmers and painters on their home planet? Hailing from the planet Hathor in the Ben 10 universe, the Splixen are small humanoid aliens who can duplicate themselves infinitely. This would seem like a problem, but they're just fine with this. They get to be everywhere at once. So this week, just imagine the possibilities.
Sagittarius. Oh, Sagittarius. I am envious of your position. Well, here we go. We're pretty sure there's a serious imbalance between you and your alien race. Native to the planet Arrakis, your pairing is with the sandworms. Now, yes, there is a small problem what to eat when you want to share a meal with them. You want something that won't get sand in it, and they want you. So there's some middle ground to be worked on. So this week, learn to speak in iambic pentameter so that they don't know you're there.
I actually tried to figure out if there was a way that I could have made that last line in iambic pentameter, and then I said, fuck it.
I wasn't going to try just because, unfortunately, I'm too good at keeping rhythm.
Capricorn, your race, and this is true, first appeared to the social consciousness of Earth in 1977. Stranded here from the planet Remulac, the Coneheads family have been here ever since, consuming mass quantities of sustenance while teaching their daughter to not play ring toss with her boyfriend in public. So this week, memorize the lyrics to Soft Cell's version of Tainted Love. It will likely save your life.
Aquarius, you're welcome to watch the TV series with the Smellmation character, but just don't watch the TV movie series finale. It's too much a bummer. The character's name is Gordon Shumway, and he's commonly known by the acronym ALF, standing for Alien Life Form. And he's a piece of work. From trying to eat cats to branching out into cartoons and talk shows, he's fine enough to be around so long as you don't talk about his poor driving skills. So this week, try not to think about how there's an entire race of aliens that can only exist if someone's got a hand up their posterior.
Tell me where the lie is.
I no. Ooh, this one's fun. Pisces. I think you did yourself a favor. Do you like tall people with the love for crystal energy? Have we got a group for you? Don't threaten them with a Yamato cannon because you're being paired with the Protos from the StarCraft universe. They're incredibly gifted thinkers as a race, so much so that they can influence how you think or understand what you think, or maybe just explode your brain. In any event, just remember they have a one-track mind. So this week, you must construct additional pylons. Bastard.
And those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, there's only one person I'm expecting is going to appreciate it, and that's the person that actually asked for it. And if you want to go ahead and ask for a nicer or nastier one for yourself or someone else's sign, all you need to do to bribe me is just ask. Or you can literally bribe me over on Coffee. Coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. There's a thing behind that. I'll have these posted online at the end of the week. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Blue Sky. I still have my Blue Sky codes over here on this thumb drive. I'm trying to hold it up to the camera. It's not. Oh, right. So that thumb. Okay, I'll find that later. Thumb drive is somewhere behind the desk. It's fine. You know, it's fine. I'll find it later. It's fine. I just want money. Doesn't matter. It's all. This is episode 492 on the docket, Your Honor. Nobody does it better. And before anybody tries to sing the song, please don't. YouTube has already given me all kinds of crap for one of the episodes that we did a while ago, and I don't want to be dealing with copyright stuff again. Thank you very much. In this case, talking about NASA. NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratories over there in California, they had a little bit of a problem for a couple of months where Voyager 1 was sending back, well, gibberish is, I think the technical term for it. It was sending back telemetry that made no sense whatsoever. And they got to trying to figure out, okay, why? So they did a whole bunch of testing. They figured out that one of the chips, the control chips inside of Voyager, is no longer functional for whatever reason. And considering that it's a one light day distance in travel time out there, ain't nobody got time enough to go ahead and front the mileage for a Pinto to go out there. So they figured out after a couple of months how to reprogram Voyager so that it no longer used that specific controller, which then had its own problems to deal with because now you have less memory space to work with, which doesn't hold all of the information that you need to upload to Voyager to make sure that it knows what to do with stuff, and then hope after 2 days that the uploaded information got to it, was processed, and sent back correct information, and look at that, it worked a charm. And all of a sudden they're receiving data again, and people are cheering like crazy. So we've had enough crap. We've had enough shit in the we've had enough shit gibbon in the news cycle for the whole week. I don't want to talk about it. Do not want to talk about that. I want to sing the praises of some of these incredible programmers and scientists and developers, people who have appreciated the complexity of writing in goddamned assembly code and kept the documentation for a 50-year-old piece of hardware that is billions upon billions of kilometers away from this planet at this point, and still, almost 50 years later, working like a goddamn champ. So, Bridget,
Mm-hmm.
Voyagers 1 2 actually launched Voyager 2 first because of weather, and then Voyager 1. That was a big thing back in the mid to late 70s. Do you have any memory whatsoever of the Voyager probes and whatnot?
I do. I remember seeing the first images come back from Jupiter, which I thought was kind of cool. I mean, they weren't as clear as what the tech is now, of course, but I mean that was a huge deal. And Voyager 2, um, several years ago, they had I don't know if it was the people at NASA or who did it, check some of the vibrations off of the planets that it was going by and turned it into sound. Because there is no sound in space, but he could hear what the solar wind would sound like if it was like a real wind. And the different frequencies that were coming off of the planets and the moon of Io and all that were just absolutely amazing. So I've got 5.5 hours of what's called Symphony of the Planets when it was going through that I listened to if I'm going to sleep at night or out of town or something to help calm me. It's just so wicked cool. But I do remember when those were launched and seeing that there was like a gold disc that they had uploaded with it in case, it was recovered at some point later. I mean, just it's amazing to me how far technology has come since then, and amazing that Voyager 1 is still out there, doing its work, that they were able to fix the code in one, that they had one shot to do it. And it's just amazing to me that they were able to do it without being able to test it out ahead of time and just go with it.
Well, I want to correct you on one piece. They
Sorry.
They did have something to test it against. They do actually have physical, identical pieces from Voyager so that they can test this stuff and see, okay, what is it that's happening, and what happens if we send it this set of instructions, and oh, that's how it behaves. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't send that. So, but yeah, and as an aside, by the way, in the show notes, I did put over there the link to the mission status page over there for the Voyager probes. And as of current recording, Voyager 1 currently has a mission elapsed time 46 years, 7 months, 22 days, 15 hours, 34 minutes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Distance from Earth currently 162.711 AUs. If you're wondering how far that is 24.34 billion kilometers with a B. And currently, with respect to the sun, it is estimated to be traveling at almost 17,000 kilometers per second. That's something.
Is the site that you're looking at voyager.jpl.nasa.gov by chance?
/mission/status.
Oh, see, you don't even need to do all that because there's a ticker bar at the bottom of just the loading page of the loaded main page, and it scrolls between Voyager 1 and Voyager 2.
Yes, but the page that I'm looking at has actually got them both side by side.
Gotcha.
So that's actually really cool. And yeah, so yeah.
And way out of scope of its original mission too,
Oh,
which
hell
is
yeah.
just amazing.
Oh yeah. It's see, here's the thing about NASA that a lot of people don't seem to understand when it comes to funding. Uh, NASA gets bare minimum funding, and yet they take that minimum funding and do absolutely the most amazing things with it. When they send something out into space, they know that if it's not a manned mission, they're probably not going to get it back. Okay,
Right.
depending on what they're making. And so they have to make this thing, in some respects, self-repairable, have backups and backups and backups to the backups. They have to account for things that they've never accounted for, and to be able to do fixes without even touching the darn thing, just through sending code through space. You show me any other institution or company that does anything remotely close to that. Nobody. They're amazing. And yet we have people who are like, I don't want my taxes to go up. Dude, if my taxes were going up another 1% and it was all guaranteed to go to NASA, I would be signing on the dotted line to make it happen. Because the technologies that get created either for NASA to use or by NASA or through things that NASA learns all comes back to benefit us. Cell phones, computer technology, telecommunications, food technology. Come on, it all comes back to some of the most amazing advances we've had have come either because NASA has done something or NASA needed something. And somebody else came to the rescue, but they only were able to do so because NASA told them what was needed, and nobody else was needing those things. So if there had not been a need, we would have never had Tang probably. And I sorry, I just picked that one because I actually happen to really like Tang.
No, you and me both, except for that mango one. The mango one can die in a fire.
I understand, but that was still funny to see your reaction to it.
Not so much for me, no.
Freeze dried ice cream was really cool too.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Neapolitan.
But the funny part is, that stuff isn't actually. It isn't actually. It never was.
There was a lot of things that never made it into space because they could have. There was an interview done by several of the astronauts and several of the scientists and nutritionists, and what they were talking about was when food gets and beverages get set into space, the first thing they have to worry about is, will this food in a zero gravity environment get into the equipment accidentally, whatever. And then the other thing they have to worry about is body odor, because when you're in space in such a small little tiny tin can, you ask anybody who's in the Navy who works on a submarine what the smells are like, and these are people who are in a gravity well, they're in the ocean. In a couple months they'll be back on land to take a shower. They may have they have some limited cleaning facilities on the sub itself. NASA, when they're in outer space, it's even worse than that. And every little tiny smell adds up, and it can make their life hell in space. Not to mention the smells of when they send equipment up in space, they actually have to test to see how it reacts to radiation and cosmic rays and such. To shorten my sentences, essentially what is outgassing, right? The chemical properties of the equipment react differently when not shielded by Earth's magnetic, the atmosphere and everything, and the magnetic shield and everything. So these little things add up. One astronaut was asked what space smells like. Well, he did a moonwalk. He came back in. He opened his helmet. He immediately could smell what his suit smelled like from having been exposed to outer space, cosmic rays, the sun, everything else. He said it smells like burnt steak.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Now,
but a kid thought up that question, and he loved it.
Yeah.
He loves questions from the kids.
Yeah. Now, just as an aside, looking up some of the information. By the way, Tech, just to have a little fun at your expense on this one. If you were to go out, hypothetically, if you were to have to go out on a service call for IT work, you could conceivably charge a nominal fee for travel mileage, right?
Typically, yes, unless I have a contract for flat rates.
Mm-hmm. So, assuming that you would do a nominal fee for whatever it is, I don't know. You might want to pull out a calculator on this one. Uh, let's just round it. Let's just round it to the nearest whole number. What would 15 billion miles be for you? So you think about that one for a minute, because that's how far out the sucker is. There's one piece that I wanted to specifically mention about this. Now, Bridget had specifically talked about the photos that had come back, and for me, the most amazing picture that I had remembered was one of Saturn's moons that looked distressingly similar to the Death Star. Now, I don't remember what the name of it was off the top of my head, but if you look up the old photos, you will see. But the interesting part about it is, nominally speaking, we should have never had those photographs. Meaning, they were never intended to be on the probes. They weren't supposed to be there. But one incredibly brilliant, forward-thinking astrophysicist said, we need to do this in order to make this accessible to everyone to understand.
Yeah.
Anybody remember who that might have been? Considering that this probe is now billions and billions of miles out there?
Off the top of my head, no.
Carl
Sagan.
Sagan. The man was just wonderful. He knew, he understood. My God. We have so much to thank him for on that angle, man. That's just amazing. So, Tech, you're still running those numbers, are you?
Yeah. So let's see here. Move the decimal point over there. So that would be what?
Well, you got to take into account that you're not going to need any more gas after you leave orbit. So, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, here we go. So we have, this is hundreds, thousands, millions, $9,831,216,255.90. Now this is rounded down because we're doing government reimbursement.
Oh yeah, there's
Yep.
that.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I'm doing government reimbursement. This only accounts for mileage. This does not account for insurance payment, fuel costs, or anything else.
Or your regular time being on the clock, because you would have to be on the clock for the entire. Ooh, yeah.
And if you're on the clock for the entire time, after the first 40 hours, you've got overtime, you have holiday pay, reimbursement. It all depends on what your government package says. We, I don't, if the Voyager probes ever make it home, and I mean, we all watch Star Trek. If Voyager ever makes it home, we owe Voyager a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, Voyager's not coming home.
I don't know. We
Ever.
saw it in Star Trek.
Well, yeah.
But there was also Voyager 6, so.
Yeah, and it was only
historically accurate.
Button lost in the Delta Quadrant in the first place.
It doesn't have to be historically accurate.
I don't know. So I'm assuming that when you file your taxes on that one, when you finally get back after 40
something years.
Oh God, you're gonna be dead.
Well, round trip, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna. So if you do make it back, I'm pretty sure that the IRS is gonna audit you for that one. So, just a thought. Maybe don't go out there.
It'd be a risky trip, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. And the other piece that you had mentioned also, the golden record
Hmm.
Yeah, Tech. How about for you? Do you remember anything about the Golden Record? What it's there for? The whole thing?
Um, I believe it has a map of our solar system. It's supposed to show both the male and female body. That wonderful graph that was done by what was it, Da Vinci? I think it was Da Vinci who was known for doing the circle with the human and Da Vinci. Um,
Oh, you're thinking of the Vitruvian Man. It's a different.
yeah.
It's a different image.
Oh, it's not that image. Okay. But there is supposedly images of both man and woman and what makes us different. Uh, there's music on there. I forget which song it is. I can't remember if there's more than one song, but I know that there's at least one song on there. Um, and supposedly a greeting in multiple human languages. Um, but I can't remember all the details.
No, you've pretty well got it right. Yeah, um, a lot of information, a lot of images, and information that is estimated to be understandable by future future civilizations that obviously enough would not read our languages, English, especially.
Right.
So, and that for me is one of the things that just amazes me. Let me see. There is information on the recordings for however many. Oh my God, it's a lot of. Let me see. 55 languages. Greetings in 55 different languages, including some that are no longer utilized and are quite ancient, which is
By the
really
way,
cool.
just an aside here, I really want to say Google has gone way the fudge downhill ever
Yeah.
since that fucktard from the Kinsey Institute took over after they kicked the actual people at Google who truly made it what it was to the curb a couple years ago. Well, they didn't kick them to the curb. They gave them other positions, but basically they're hands off of the development of how Google works now. And it's nothing but like the first three damn pages are nothing but advertisements and bad links to shit I don't want to buy. And I'm trying to
Hmm.
find information. It's just like, man, why even bother looking at the first page anymore? Just skip to like page 5 or 6 to actually find information. Yeah, I might actually start using Bing at this point. Google, you suck. Sorry, it's just it
Perfectly
it's
understandable.
pissing me off.
Perfectly understandable.
Corporate capitalism for the win.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about the engineers and the people that made Google what it was, warning the company, like, look, don't listen to the people who are trying to just make a buck at the company. And the company said, well, we need to make money. Bye bye. And now it's shit.
Yep.
Yep. So some of the languages and messages that are on there recorded, and I'm just gonna pick a couple of them that are over in here in Arabic. Greetings to our friends in the stars. We wish that we will meet you someday. In Cantonese, hi, how are you? Wish you peace, health, and happiness. Nice.
Oh, dude, I just found goldenrecord.org. I have never seen this before, but holy crap, it takes you through the record, everything that's on it.
Mm-hmm.
Pictures, scientific equations, mathematical formulae, the visual spectrum. You can actually click through and it's all interactive. It shows you what's actually embedded on the disc versus what plays on the record. And oh God, we have got to put this in the show notes.
Oh, absolutely. One of the other ones that I really love is Latin. Now, most of us know, of course, that Latin is not. It's not exactly dead, but it is functionally dead. It's still utilized as a base for so much of other stuff, and it's still held on for a lot of different pieces, but as a day-to-day language, Latin... In Latin, greetings to you, whoever you are. We have goodwill towards you and bring peace across space. Wow. And according to the information that I've got on here, very little is known about the individuals that the voices are. But apparently a lot of them were people that were known by Dr. Sagan or at the folks at, oh God, where was it? I know that I saw something that said where these people were mostly. I don't remember if it was over at Cornell or over California at there it is. Many of the speakers were from Cornell University and the surrounding communities, which means these are people that were in the mid-New York state. And I find this absolutely wonderful because it's something that you just would not have expected. Some of these languages: Hebrew, Hittite, Hungarian, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin Chinese, Nepali, Punjabi, Sinhalese, Sotho, Spanish, Thai, Ukrainian, Urdu, Vietnamese, Welsh. Good health to you now and forever. These hopes, these wishes of peace sent out 50 years ago into the aether, hoping that maybe one day, just maybe one day, someday in the far-flung future, maybe it'll be picked up again someday. And only now are we realizing, now figuratively speaking, that this probe will not even reach the inner layer of the Oort cloud for another 300 years. Never mind any particular possibility of a star picking it up. And the hope that it's just out there is just, that is to me just the closest thing to magical that I could think of.
That somebody, someday, somewhere will find it, maybe.
And they might be made of chemicals that we couldn't even begin to believe would be life, and probably not even as we would understand it either. And it's just out there. It's just waiting to be found. So when I put this out there and I said, nobody does it better, we've said it before, I'm going to keep saying it every damn time. When NASA does something right, they do it beyond the scope of what we would have considered an A+ grade, It's just amazing. And it's Voyagers 1 and 2 are so iconic that if you have an account in the game Elite Dangerous, there are instructions. They're not easy to follow, but there are instructions on how you can take a spaceship out from Earth and find the Voyager probes. And it is damn difficult to find them, because you want to talk about a needle in a haystack, it's worse. It is so much worse. But they're out there. And no, you are not allowed to fire on it. So these guys are out there. They're plugging away. It's almost 50 years later, and not really sure how much longer they're going to be able to, keep sending messages back. The amount of power that they have been operating on for the longest time is just minuscule. It's just so tiny. They can't use solar power because there's next to nothing to collect. So they're working off of little nuclear piles, keeping them going. And if memory serves, I think they've got maybe within the next 20 years they'll be depleted. If even that. And my God, considering that it was only its primary mission was only supposed to have been like for like 2, 3, 5 years for the grand tour, as it was called at the time. I'd say damn near 50 years on. That's pretty damn worthwhile. We got our money's worth out of it.
We got a little bit more than our money's worth. You can't say you've gotten that kind of. You cannot say that you have gotten that level of return on investment of any car ever made in the world. When you compare it to the scientific knowledge and advances that we have gained trying to make the probes, successfully making the probes, launching the probes, and learning from them as they go.
It's amazing. It's just positively amazing to me.
Space is awesome. It's trying to kill you, but it's awesome.
Well, it's not that it's trying to, it's just that if you don't respect it, it will, because that's its natural state. And I always put something interesting over here, saying, I did a tribute to Opportunity when she failed. It was passed around JPL with a thank you back. And I'm sending question marks because I'm absolutely fascinated. I recognize, spirit and opportunity, but it was wow, that's some kind of heavy duty cool, man. That's really super cool. Continuing, someone from JPL listened to my set, and because I recorded it, I made it available to them to share with the other JPL. I got thanked. How cool. How absolutely cool is that? Well done. I'm just gonna I'm gonna get this out of the way really quickly because I know you gotta get going. But Bridget, the idea that there are relatively so few people that work at NASA and so many of us out here that could otherwise just be, sending messages to them, and there's got to be so many of us who are just like, why even bother sending information, sending them words of encouragement or thank yous or anything like that, because it's just going to get lost in the shuffle of everything and just drowned into the background noise of anything. Do you think quote unquote they actually do hear us?
I really don't know if they hear us or not. I mean, sure, there was broadcasting that went over the airwaves in the 40s and 50s, and I really don't know if anybody has heard us or not. We have got, now, my husband and I used to belong to, oh, what was the name of the program? I can't remember off the top of my head, but different people would allow their computers to be used when they were not on them to help search for, I think it was SETI at home or something like that.
Yep.
But they would allow it to, go through the data coming in and see if there's any anomalies. And I know that years ago we were doing that. I don't know if anybody's heard us or not. I know that there's been a couple of bleeps that have been found. that could possibly be anomalies or somebody trying to get in touch with us, but who knows?
That would be absolutely amazing, wouldn't it?
Hmm.
That would be the absolute, that would be the best.
I mean, our computers never personally found anything, but we felt it was important enough to contribute to the effort to try to find something.
Yeah, I've got my personal computer and my server running. Even though SETI at home has stopped, there are other distributed computing systems that are still going along with it. So I've got a couple of computers that are still helping out with that. So that's always good. Io, if you'd be so kind to hit a thing in there for me to go look up information for distributed computing, I'll make sure that I've got information for everybody to kind of help along with that. And it is just past top of the hour, which means we got to say goodnight to you, Bridge.
Yeah, I know, and this is such a cool topic, but yeah, I have to go. So is this where I get to pick my fuck you for the week and get that out of the way?
I can't imagine why you wouldn't.
Okay. This week's fuck you, I had to make some calculations to decide who was most deserving of it because there's so many. But I'm gonna go with Christine Nome because the character of a person is, highly determined on how you treat animals, and fuck her for, shooting her dog in a gravel pit and missing the dog and hitting a fucking goat and then having to shoot the dog because she didn't train it correctly. She just didn't like the dog. And I'm like, you could have at least found somebody to adopt it or rescue it or something. Why'd you have to do that? You sick, psychotic bitch.
You see how I am right here, right now. See, no argument whatsoever. Yeah, totally on
And
board.
just and and the publisher who thought, hey, let's put a cool let's shoot the puppy story in the book. I mean, what the hell? And she thought that this was a good thing
If memory
for
serves,
her.
was there something about saying that, well, this is the story of what was going on. Maybe it's not such a great thing to put out there, or something to that effect. And it's like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's probably a really bad thing to put out there because it's probably something that shouldn't have existed in the first place.
And she went with it in a book, I guess, to appeal to the, I don't know, Second Amendment people or hunters or people that just like to shoot things. I don't know.
Yeah, Second Amendment isn't supposed to be protecting you from an old Yeller situation. But
All
even
right.
that isn't, but that's a whole other thing. I'm mixing metaphors. You have yourself a safe night, hun.
Okay, you two, and I will hopefully see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, hun.
Toodaloo.
And then there were two.
Dun dun dun.
And now that I got stuff moved around, and there we go. So, there's this thing that I don't want to bring up, but I'm gonna bring it up because it's painful, and it's still kind of important to go along with this whole damn thing, which is that NASA, like every learning institution, whether it's a physical institution or a conceptual one, has to learn from mistakes. NASA learned an incredibly valuable lesson with the tragedy that became known as Apollo 1. It was the first full test of the Saturn V rocket engine. The systems were in place, and it was basically the equivalent of a dress rehearsal, trying the whole damn thing out. And they lost 3 exceptional future hopeful astronauts in the capsule for what was later, afterwards, retroactively called Apollo 1. Because there was a fire that ended up happening in the capsule because of the gas mixture that they used for the internal atmosphere.
Yes.
And they learned from that. They redesigned a lot of different pieces, and they made sure that it was not something that could possibly happen again. And that was Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee.
Recording of it.
I'm sorry?
The screaming. Apparently they have a recording of it.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
They learned. Like I said, they learned an incredibly valuable lesson. It was going to be a low Earth orbit test of the system, make sure that everything was working the way that it was supposed to so far, and never even got the chance to get off the ground. And there is still, if memory serves, there are still star charts in the manuals, if you will, for subsequent space missions, even through the shuttle era, where their initials show up for specific stars. Not because they're changing out the star names, but just as a memory of them. And it hurts. It hurts me. Because, like I've said, I was born just a handful of months before 11 launched, landed on the moon. And I have no functional memory of the Apollo program at all. And I'm sad for that. But my God, what they did, what NASA accomplished in such a short amount of time was absolutely incredible to me. In the span of a human lifetime, we went, as a species, we went from powered flight to landing on the moon. How fucking awesome, right?
It's very cool. Sadly, we do it as part of a competition and a race and everything else rather than for, if you want government backing and monetary funds and such, it's got to be because, we can't let somebody else beat us, or we got to have a better weapon, or any of that kind of bullshit, rather than, hey, let's actually fund something that is helpful to humanity as a whole, something that progresses us as a species, that opens up understanding of more things around us and beyond us, as well as ourselves, because there's a lot of things we learned about Earth from being in space.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of these are the reasons why the scientists and the engineers and the astronauts all get into it. But to get the money, well, that's not good enough. And that just bugs the hell out of me. especially when we get like presidents that come in or politicians are like, "Oh, I'm all about outer space and everything," and they're like, "Yeah, but you're not helping any of the funding for it, or you're not signing off on just not even an increase, let alone the regular funding. You're actually talking about cutting it. What the hell is wrong with you people?" Well, we got enough problems down here on Earth, and it's like, hey, idiot, they help solve problems down here on Earth, and it's like, this is why this comes back to politics now, sadly.
Yep.
But it's one of the reasons why, honestly, I don't think we should be voting in any politician who doesn't have any level of scientific literacy. If they don't have scientific literacy or mathematical literacy of any sort, they should not be voted in. And unfortunately, too many of them demonstrate that they they can't get simple things right. They can't get basic addition right in some cases, and they can't do their own. They don't even do their own damn research on things that they say they're interested in. Oh well, I heard this from so and so, and this is what I believe. And it's like, uh, huh?
Yeah. Why don't you
Open a
just,
book, asshole.
or better yet, talk to the people who are actually professionals in the field in order to find out what the actual research and shows, so you can come through with correct understanding. I'm absolutely with you. Neil deGrasse Tyson has incredibly pushed for a lot of pieces, and I disagree with him on some things, the way that he does talk about various things. I understand why he does what he does. Don't get me wrong, but one of the things that he has advocated for and about is how NASA gets 1/2 of 1 penny of every dollar that goes in for taxes in the United States. And if that was simply bumped up to a whole penny, the amount of research that could be funded is absolutely jaw-dropping. And we also have to remember, here in the United States, it's not just the president that is responsible for this, it's Congress. Because the way that it's set up over here, the president can say yes or no to a budget, but it's Congress that actually pays out the money. Which makes it a little annoying at times, but there's reasons why it's supposed to be that way. The point, however, still stands. These people need to at least have some kind of passing familiarity with reality. God, that's one of the reasons why I like Katie Porter. Oh my God, she's such a... Oh, I love her. Katie Porter, when she pulls out a whiteboard, you're done. Just sit down and just shut up and wait. She's good at what she does. One of the things that we've learned as a species from having a view from orbit is how I forget how the wording was for it, but from the folks that have been up at the International Space Station, which, by the way, folks, if you don't have an ISS tracker on your phone or a smart device, plenty of websites where you can find out when is ISS going to be visible from your location. It's really amazing to be able to watch that. But some
I read
people...
somewhere that they nicknamed it Izzy. I wonder if that's true. The people who have been on there.
I do not know. I'm unfamiliar with that one. Huh. Anyway, I'm going to be paraphrasing highly at the moment, but I remember hearing how some of the guys who had spent time in the ISS had said that the new folks that come up as they're trading out different groups or visitors, they will look out through the cupola and they'll look down and they'll point out as they're going around. And remember, it orbits the Earth. The entire orbit of the Earth on ISS is 90 minutes. And they point out, there's where my house is. I can see my house from here. There it goes, okay. And they pick out their neighborhood. And a little while later, it's like, there's my state. There's my country. There's my continent. And eventually it just becomes no longer a question of which group they're part of, which area they're part of. It's that we are part of this spaceship Earth. And how humbling a concept that actually is for these people. And I love that. I love that idea. I love that concept.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the chance to see ISS go overhead at night?
Yes. It's pretty cool. It's just a dot, but it's still pretty cool. I don't have like a telescope or anything, sadly.
Actually, watching it with a telescope is even harder. Try to keep it in the viewfinder while it's booking ass across the sky. Yeah, I've tried to do that before. That sucks.
No, but I did it. I was standing in a parking lot where the lights had gone out. It was a nice night out. It was clear. I was using the ISS tracker, and there it went. I had my son at the time, so we were watching it go. It was nice.
There was one guy, did a whole bunch of astrophotography, was able to video record ISS as it was transiting across the moon, and had such a great view of it that you could make out all the individual sections of ISS as it was going by. And it's just, wow, that's just flat Earth. You know what? Yeah, go ahead. Explain it. I fucking dare you.
No, that's the thing. You don't ask a flat earther to explain it. There's no point. The only reason to interact with a flat earther is to demonstrate somebody else the bad arguments that are made when you use faulty mathematics and science. And um, or in some cases where they lead the bit, and they use a whole lot of what's the what's that ref? Um, the various types of bad arguments. Something foul ref.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. The bad argument ref things. Yeah, we did have
ones
that
I've
once
referenced
before.
Yeah, the ones I've referenced before. We've put in like several show notes before. Um, so something fallacy ref. I forget what it's called. But basically, what it is just a list of different types of fallacious ways to make statements and arguments and such. And when you engage with the flat Earth community, you're lambasted with it. And if you demonstrate or prove that they're wrong about something, they will move the goalposts constantly. There are other ones that what they'll do is as soon as they see that you actually know a little bit about what you're talking about, and they're starting to trample over their firmly, sincerely held belief. By the way, if you ever want a demonstration of how a sincerely held belief is a dangerous frickin' thing, and you refuse to acknowledge that 9/11 happened because of sincerely held beliefs, look at the flat earthers, look at the anti-vaxxers, look at a whole lot of things out there that are nothing but harmful positions. And of course, at that point, if you're looking at all that and you still don't think that having a sincerely held belief that is counter to that of, you know, reality, there's probably no hope for you.
My favorite part about the whole damn thing is whenever I have one of these science smarties come up and do reactions to people with bad quote unquote research, and they're just like, go ahead, your experiment is set up correctly. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it didn't work the way that you thought that it was going to. Now, if you go ahead and you continue it on for the thing, see how that works like that? That proves that there is a curvature. You proved the curvature thing. Why are you saying that you don't understand why this worked the way that it did and didn't work the way that you thought it should? I love seeing stuff like that. These people that try to do these experiments that claim, yes, this is going to prove that the Earth is flat and not curved, and it's like, no, it failed. You showed it in real time failing, and that's why. And
Yeah, exactly.
now you showed it actually working correctly for the spherical Earth model, and bravo, well done, dumbasses. Scientific literacy is something that is just so annoying. Rephrasing, lack of scientific literacy is annoying. That's what I'm really looking for. The thing about this stuff with NASA, though, and made mention to it before, and it's true. The stuff that NASA did, especially with the Apollo era, very specifically, it was just to one-up Russia. And Neil deGrasse Tyson's also talked about this, that, Sputnik went up there and was sending down Morse code high. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, high in Morse code is 6 beeps. It's a set of 4 for the letter H and a set of 2 for the letter I. Why do I know this? Ham radio stuff. Leave me alone. Shut up. Anyway, high is also used in ham radio vernacular as laughter or as I made a mistake. Because if you're sending Morse code and you screwed something up, it's not uncommon for somebody to just pause briefly and just send 6 dits. Because, basically clear the palette, I screwed up. Okay, haha, funny. Okay, keep going. But as Neil deGrasse Tyson pointed out, here it is. There is a product from the Soviet Union that is now orbiting the Earth. And fortunately, it's only a radio transmitter when it could have just as easily have been a small thermonuclear weapon. And how terrifying a concept is that? And before anybody says anything about that, I'm saying it doesn't matter what country does it. The concept that there would be a thermonuclear warhead in space is simply a terrifying concept to me, period. Full stop. There should not be weapons of war in space. That's just my way of thinking about it.
Sadly, there will be. As long as humanity has the desire to fight, there will be weapons of war. We are good at it. It is something that we are very good at. And we will continue to be until we outgrow that. And I don't foresee us doing that anytime soon. We may force the change upon ourselves by putting ourselves at the brink of extinction. But even then, people will fight. The survivors will fight to survive, so they'll have to fight the environment in whatever condition it's left behind in, and they'll fight each other. Granted, it'll lead one of several possible ways, but the 2 primary ways are the people who fight to survive that win will either be the ones who will do anything to win, which will put us right back at square one and possibly even further along that extinction event, and the other ones who will fight for survival of the species for the right reasons. The right reasons being helping thy neighbor, you know, and doing it out of caring for one another and taking the bad element that says, oh, we should fight and the strong will survive, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we don't need your kind anymore. Bye bye. But, we probably won't be around to see that.
No.
Honestly, hopefully the Mennonites survive. The Mennonites and the Amish are probably the backup plan to World War III because they have an understanding of the earth, the environment. They know how to work with their hands. They know how to work with very primitive tools, take care of families, take care of neighbors. Granted, they have a belief system of their own, but if small subsets of every type of group were to survive a World War III environment, I'd put most of my hope in them.
Yeah, a small problem with that, though, is that they have no ranged weapons to speak of, so when the zombie apocalypse happens, they're screwed.
No, I'm talking about it. Yeah, there's that too. That's assuming we make a zombie apocalypse, or Mother Nature does.
Well, she's already done it at the insect level. What's to stop her from continuing on up?
Not much.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephanie's pointed out what amuses me the most is that the curvature of the Earth was shown in the 19th century. You all know what I mean, the 3-pole in a long straight canal. Memory serves, I do believe that the ancient Greeks were able to work out the diameter of the Earth, or the circumference of the Earth, with just a couple of very simple tools like sticks and shadows, and I'm trying to remember, it was trigonometry? Worked it out to within 1% of accurate, I think is what it was. And that was just using, like I said, sticks and timing and shadows and the sun and a little bit of distance. Holy hell, Just great.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do when you understand math and science. You understand that, yes, we have had math and science that has been wrong in the past, and due to the scientific method, we have gone through and corrected these things, which means that we become more accurate as time goes by. This whole concept of we have to be perfect the first time through, that's not how humans and the environment works. Nothing is perfect. There is no perfection on this planet. You know, there's a lot of great things, a lot of awesome things, but there's nothing that's truly perfect. And in that imperfection, we see the beauty in everything else. And when you have an understanding, when you are scientifically literate and mathematically literate, that does not diminish the beauty of the world around you. It helps give you a better appreciation for it. I have a better appreciation for the food that I eat and the clean water that I have and the air that I breathe, and knowing the statistics of water quality, food quality, and air quality around the world. I really do. And to say otherwise, I do see the world through a mathematical lens and a scientific lens. I was very good at them when I was in school and everything. And when I see somebody who looks at the world differently than me, that's fine. But when you look at the world in such a way that diminishes the world, that really sucks for everybody. And when you're doing it because you're using bad math and bad science, that's correctable. When you refuse to correct what you're using, when you're purposefully using bad math and bad science, you're an asshole.
again, see my face, no argument whatsoever.
Hmm.
Perfectly fine. And I'm looking up a little bit more information on when the first calculations of the Earth's circumference were calculated. And as I'm reading as quickly as I can over here, it looks like one of the earliest ones. I'm trying to figure out when this was. Posidonius is the first one that is listed. And when did he live? Posidonius, he lived 135 to 51 BCE. So his calculation, though inaccurate, was still pretty damn close.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one that is listed, and I'm finding this over on Wikipedia, so just, my apologies on that. Oh God, I hate trying to pronounce these things. Eratosthenes, I think is how it's pronounced. Eratosthenes, calculated with an error between negative 2.4% and plus 0.8%, which says to me, pretty freaking close. Pretty freaking close. And considering that, what they had to work with, I mean, hey, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago almost, yeah, it's fair to say that what these guys were working with was definitely not what we had, and they still had some pretty damn good measurements to work on. It's just great. It's just great. Just science is absolutely amazing to me. What you can learn, what you can learn just by looking, it blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah. That's why I'm so pissed off at Google right now.
Yeah. Yep, and fairly so.
It's been going on for about 4 or 5 years now with Google, just progressively getting to coin the term, shitified, shitification.
That doesn't sound incorrect.
Yeah, it's just all this commercial light. When you beholden yourself to the shareholders, you destroy your shit. Look at Reddit. Fucking spez and all that crap. And it used to be such a great source for knowledge and interactivity. And now it's like it's gone to hell. People are leaving to go to Lemmy. They're going to Tilds. They're going to a lot of places. And it's just, it happened to Dig. Now it's happened to Reddit. It's going to happen to everything else. Twitter's done thanks to one freaking man-child, asshole, idiot, spoiled brat who asked his mommy to have the internet be nicer to him. We can't have nice things because of greed.
Yep. And again, look at my face. Not arguing. Not at all. Still think that it's really amazing. All of what NASA's been able to do. All of what the scientific community has been able to do. And I've only got one thing I've only got one thing left to make a reference to, and the article that I had originally linked that got me started on this said that the I forget who it was, the mission director, I think is who she was. She was a kid inspired in the 70s when Voyager was getting going. And now, 45, almost 50 years later, she's like the head of this group and helping to make sure that things are working the way that they're supposed to. And that's the piece that I think is simply an incalculable boon to society. That NASA has made dreaming again a thing. And I think that's something that we kind of miss. I think that's something that we kind of miss. So I'm pretty well running down. Like I said, that was pretty much the last piece that I had at the moment. Io had pointed out, by the way, Tech, and you can speak on this one because I don't do Reddit. I don't do it. Every once in a while, I'll have a search for information come up that links me over to it, and it's just like, okay, I don't exactly understand it. Io had said Reddit was a wonderful site. Now, it's not safe for women.
It's not just not safe for women. It's not even safe for guys either. The amount of bullshit. So what happened is the guy who basically is in charge. His handle is Spez, Spez. Decided that to make more money, he was going to force the third-party applications to pay to use the API. Now, API is a short and dirty version. I mean, this is a really short and dirty version. Is the code that allows somebody to make an application to talk to your stuff. Okay, it's kind of like a translator or a lexicon, and so you before companies and individuals were making their own third party mobile apps and otherwise that allowed them to interact with Reddit in such a way that they could be good moderators, that they could handle a lot of things, or just like me who just like to browse, occasionally submit content, react to content, provide guidance and advice as well as opinions. Um, and overall, in general, just make it what it was. He decided that he was going to charge an outrageous sum based off of the amount of calls and a bunch of other technical details that would have essentially crippled any of these third party creators, and in fact did, because the majority of the third party creators said, no, we can't pay that. And the amount we would have to charge our customer base would be exorbitant to pay for that. Bye bye. So overnight, Spez basically destroyed third party applications. There are a few, but you have to pay for them now. I think there's only 2 third party applications that actually you can use. Last time I checked, and I haven't gone looking because I have no interest to go back to Reddit. And Reddit makes, and you'd say, well, what about Reddit? Well, didn't they make their own app? Yes, they did, and it sucked. Just like when they revamped their website and it became the suck. And Spez alienated the moderators, the ones who said, hey, look, we as moderators need these third-party tools to actually be able to moderate at the level that we are doing. We cannot use Reddit's own app to do what we're doing. We can't use the web browser on a home computer to take care of what we're taking care of because the tools just don't integrate that well for their native app, for the native website. It doesn't work well. And Spez didn't want to hear it. And then when the moderators, as well as the members of various forums on Reddit, started to protest, Spez had them ejected and replaced them with moderators and bots that have no idea what the heck they're doing. There was a mass protest. In fact, one Redditor made an application where you can put in all your credentials, and what it would go through is it would go through all your posts, and it would delete all the posts and replace it with content that you wanted to put in there. So if you wanted to say, hey, this content's been removed because fuck Spez, that's why, which was a very common thing that people did. A lot of good source material was lost because of that. Spez thought, but it was demonstrated that he thought by getting rid of the moderators and the people who were objecting, that he'd still be left with the good content behind. And they did speculation based on that to get sales, ad sales. And it turns out it didn't work out for him. And the profits are not where they should be, and value is not where it should be because he destroyed it. And he's like, well, these communities, one of the things they were quoted as saying, there was an article in Ars Technica, and that was posted in one of the other channels in Discord servers. I'll copy it for you. That Reddit was quoted as saying, the people in charge of Reddit was quoted as saying, communities are naturally commercial. No, Reddit was not a commercial product. It was a volunteer product. It was not even a product. It was a voluntary community. The majority of moderators didn't get paid. They did everything for free. The people who posted content and corrected others did it all for free. The people who engaged with each other did it all for free. It was all, there was toxic parts of Reddit. You have a toxic part of any city. You have a toxic part of any aspect of school. There's always some toxicity somewhere. And did they have the best means of controlling it? I don't know. What I do know is that for the forums that I tended to engage in, like flashlights and technology forums and such, a lot of the toxicity wasn't there because we didn't tolerate it. Every forum could have its own rules. Every subreddit, if you will, had its own rules, and some were very strictly enforced. Now it's you've got AI spam being embedded in there. You have companies that are generating fake conversations to make it sound like and look like that
That there's engagement, right?
Yeah, that there's engagement, that they care about what you have to say. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that you're having such a hard time with finances. Have you thought about going through a loan consolidation company? I myself use, and then insert brand here. I've had really, and it seems to look like it's coming from a caring account, but it's not. It's just a bot that's been pre-programmed to inject certain brands, companies based on what they see, what the bots parse from the postings. And so people will go thinking that they're getting a legitimate recommendation from a human being who has real experience with a particular company, and it's not. It's Google Ads is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily coming from Google. It's just like Google Ads, though, where you go into google.com, you do a search, and now you get 3-4 pages of ads instead of 3-4 pages of good reference material.
Yeah. And before anybody thinks that this is just a Reddit thing, by no means. I have seen so many times where people have been trying to get information from let's genericize it just a little bit. Large cell phone carrier company. And try to get information on why they are having a problem, a very specific problem. And when I've gone looking, because I've had similar problems, and C, there is what seems to be legitimate account that responds to these people with the most inane level 1 day 1 tech support script kid questionnaire to try to find out, have you done bloody bloody blah, only for the original poster to go ahead and comment back, snarky as all shit, did you not read the post where I said I did all that already? Because we know full well it's not an actual live person. It's a script. It's a bot. I'm not even going to call it AI because it's not. It's a bot looking for information, trying to do what would otherwise have been a phone grunt operator's job, level 1 tech's job. And if it was a level 1 tech, at least, I would have I wouldn't have such a problem of saying, you know what? Yes, I did power cycle my modem. I did disconnect the power entirely. I did give it a full minute. And if you look at your records, you will see that the last 3 times that I've called, I know my way around this stuff. So could you perhaps hand me off to level 2 because I know this part of the stuff? As opposed to, having to wait and piss off everybody else that's reading what's going on, because it's like, well, do you not even care to actually have people read the problems and respond to the problems instead of just, oh yeah, it's just going to be this, and throw up an index card at them with maybe information that's helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I've had to deal with Comcrat before because they're craptastic. And it got to the point of where I was having a very specific problem that was so bad that I actually found somebody else who was having a very similar problem with Comcrat. And they knew that it was not the computer. They knew it was not the modem. They knew it was not a lot of things. And what but the problem was so intermittent that I couldn't always log the problem properly. I couldn't always get it to occur on demand. It turned out environmental variables was what was causing it. So when the environment outside changed, it changed what the problem was. And one of the people who encountered something very similar created a utility called Net Uptime Monitor. This is not a sponsor. This is not a plug for it. This just happens to be something that I used at the time. I needed something that demonstrated that there was a significant problem with my connection, how long these intervals of outages were occurring for, and I needed date and time stamping of each event. And this utility actually did that.
Yep.
And I was able to take this log of events, then take the log of events of the modem, which they're like, how do you know how to do that? And I was like, I read technical manuals, asshole. That's how I know. Um, and I presented the help desk technician after many months of calling them and getting nowhere, saying, hey, look, I've got this. And I used the most specific technical language I could, to the point where I confused the fuck out of the person on the phone. And I said, look, if you can't follow any of this, that's fine, because this is tier 2 and tier 3 technological problems. So if you can't handle this, you need to send me upstairs. And they finally grudgingly sent me to tier 2. And I get this guy on the phone. He's like, hey, I heard you have a problem. Can you describe it for me? And I give him a list of everything I've done, how long it's been going on. And I said, by the way, if you got an email address, I can send you logs of everything. He goes, you've got logs? I said, yes. And he goes, I would love to see those. And I sent him everything he figured out from the logs alone and my description of what was going on. He's like, man, you should have never had to come talk to me. They should have been able to figure this out. And I said, they're reading from a script. He goes, yeah, they're reading from a script. And they sent out a technician in just a couple days. They replaced the wiring, fixed the problem that the environmental variables was causing. And other than the fact that they have oversold the node in my neighborhood to the nth degree, to the point of where I can tell when people are home from work and when kids are out of school and all that crap. Other than that, it works okay. But yeah, I mean, I had to go to great lengths to get them to listen instead of reading out of a book that doesn't have all the answers. I actually had to baffle them with not bullshit, but true technical lingo, true technical documentation to get to somebody who actually knew what the hell I was talking about. And that's not the first time I have ever called a support desk and had to use what I actually know from experience to get somebody who knew what the hell. Here's how bad this has become. There was a company I was working for where I was working at a district level. For people who don't know what that means, imagine you work for a company, okay? That company sells a sprocket, just basically sprockets, right?
Okay.
And they have 500 stores where they sell sprockets. Those stores will be broken out based on where they are in the US and which states and which counties and everything else. And you'll map zone a little circle around a number of them, and that'll be District 142. And the next little circle of stores will be District 143, and so on and so forth. There's lots of different ways and metrics that you can zone these districts. Doesn't really matter for the moment. So I was in charge of the IT stuff for a whole district of stores for a company, which will remain nameless. And at one point, I went to visit one of the stores, and one of the employees there was crying. They were crying because one of the pieces of technology wasn't working, and the person on the phone was basically berating the employee for being too stupid to operate it. This employee was a very nice person, a very patient person, a very caring of the customer kind of person, bent over backwards for you kind of person. Never seen this person cry before. I was pissed. I said, I hung up the phone. I said, you tell me what's going on right now, and I will fix things. And they told me what happened, what needed to be fixed, what they were going through. It was a problem that the IT department did need to fix, but I found out later on that the IT department would throw it back at the store locations because every time they got a call to fix something that was a legitimate problem, it was a ding on them, which was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard of. But this is a real thing. And when you call Comcast, when you call AT&T, if you call Verizon, if you call Roadrunner, if you call any of these companies and you keep the agent on the phone too long because you have a complicated problem, they personally get dinged. It doesn't matter that you have a legitimate problem. They've been on the phone too long. You're costing the company money.
Yep.
And that's the mentality that we see in the IT world today. And it's even worse when you're an employee of the IT world. Um, you know, what do? Nothing ever breaks around here. Well, if nothing's broken, it's because I'm doing my job the right way. Well, no, that's not how we see it. We see it as you're worthless because nothing breaks. So we don't need you. And then they get rid of you and they hire out third party when something breaks and it costs them more money. Or things keep breaking because nobody's listening to their IT department. Why do we have an IT department? Everything keeps breaking anyway. We don't need you. And they fire you anyway. This is a sad mentality, and this is why a lot of shit's going downhill real fast.
Yeah. And just to backtrack just a little bit, when you said the guy was just like, can you describe the situation of what you've got? All I could hear in my head is your voice just going, yes, I can. Oh, and as somebody who has done tech support,
yeah, I know I'm preaching to the choir to you.
Yeah, as somebody who has done tech support, the thing about do we get dinged if we spend quote unquote too long with a customer? Yes, we do. Yes, I was fired from a job for exactly that problem, and it is the it is one of the few things where I legitimately hold a grudge against the guy who was my direct supervisor at that time. But that's another piece for another time. And you know what? Good on that tech talking to you and saying, oh, well, damn, this helps. Okay, I can figure this out. I can fix this. Good on you. And there's a couple of pieces over here that were mentioned for you, by the way. Kind of backtracking a little bit. Io had said, UT speaks the truth. Reddit sucketh big time now. Actually wrote sucketh. Let's see. The Russian trolls are happily protesting all pro-Ukrainian channels. That one from Stephanie. Also with Reddit, I'm sure. And Stephanie also pointing out, tech, that's what you get when the accountants are in charge. It is what destroyed British industry. No argument. No argument. When the people who I'm gonna close this up in a second. I'm not gonna do a big closing thing or anything like that. But when the people who are in charge of numbers, dollars, and cents, and that's all their interest is, are the ones who are involved, the idea of the soft power, if you will, of making sure that the customer experience is good, if for no other reason other than just to go, you know what? Yep, we can get that solved for you, without even thinking of it in terms of, return on your outlay for these people. No, man, you want people to like what it is that you do. And when that's no longer the business that you're doing, well, then you get what you didn't pay for. Being that we're going to have to be closing up shop, what last item you got?
I don't really have much more. I think I've been on enough soaps boxes today.
That's fair. Then I think it's fair for us both to agree to this one last little piece. NASA, and we know that you're out there somewhere listening really hard there, NASA. Keep doing what you're doing, because we goddamn love what it is that you do. Thank you. I think it's fair to say that, don't you?
Yeah.
So with that, we will go ahead. We will call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We hope that you had yourself a good time listening to us, and you got something to think about for the week ahead. As always, over there in the chat, Stephanie, Io, thank you guys ever so much. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, it's been one of those nights. So, just thank you. Tech, glad you're able to make it. You have yourself a safe week, of course, and I hope the weather behaves for the week ahead.
Yeah, it's about to get really warm here, which means a lot of the bugs are going to come out, and it's going to suck.
Yep. The other morning, it was 0 out here, and there was some frost on the ground. And then come the afternoon into the early evening when I left from work, it got up to like 17 and was just slightly over comfortable. And I'm going to be looking at 20 plus this week coming up. I'm not looking forward to that temperature swing, you know what I mean?
No, I don't like the heat.
Yeah, we did not exactly have winter, shall we say, over here. Although my bum leg might like to argue that point just a little bit, but you know what? Screw you. Anyway, you guys have yourselves a good week. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again, of course, next time. If you'd like to be in touch with us, take a swing over to the website, holycrapthevlogcast.com. All our contact info is over there, plus links to all our stuff. And, of course, the phone number, I renewed that one more time. I know, I keep saying I probably shouldn't, but yeah, it's free. What am I going to do? 859-HCTV-554, 859-428-8554. Gonna give serious consideration to finding out how to link us all in with the phone line so we could have like incoming phone calls. Maybe. I don't know how to do that exactly. I'll see what I can come up with, but we'll figure it from there. Other than that, please just have a good, safe week. We'll be very much looking forward to talking to you guys again next time, and I will have the camera up and running at that point again. No, there's nothing wrong with the camera. I told you. I just did not want to dress up for the show tonight, so just leave me alone. So until the next time we're together, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And of course, as always, my lady, coming up on 19 years later, I am still in love. Well, Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. And until the next time we're together, everyone, as always, yes, I am actually tipping my hat. I did have it on. Good night.